There's a particular kind of game that you always wish you could get to, but never got around to it. And for me, Lunar was that game. For years, I saw it pop up in best JRPGs of all time lists, so I always knew I needed to try it. So when the Lunar Remastered Collection finally dropped this year, bundling Silver Star Story and Eternal Blue in one updated, restored package, it was the first time the series had been truly accessible for me. Just two fully playable versions updated for modern screens with quality of life improvements and, the kind of care you always hope to see in a remaster. I had to jump in. No nostalgia for this game specifically for me, no childhood memories to fall back on, just a pair of incredible 90s JRPGs for me to sink my teeth into. And what I found wasn't just a charming pair of classics. I found two games that spoke with emotional clarity, creative heart, titles that didn't just entertain me but grab me instantly, games that reminded me why I fell in love with the genre in the first place. The first game begins in such a charming way. There's no world-ending threat on the horizon, no ancient evil rising. It opens with the main protagonist just standing, gazing at a monument to his hero, dreaming of an adventure. It's quite charming and comforting, if I'm being honest. I think what surprised me the most playing it in 2025 is just how confident the game is in its simplicity. It doesn't rush anything. Walking around Berg for the first time, talking to every villager, I felt this kind of warmth that few games capture. Not because of graphics, but because of tone. Everything in that intro, from your friends messing with you or Luna's gentle concern, just sets up a world that feels very lived in. Alex himself is a bit of a blank slate. He doesn't say much, but his actions speak volumes. His desire to see the world isn't wrapped up in some destiny or trauma. He wants to go because he wants to know, he wants to adventure. It reminded me of an early Link or Chrono for that matter. Not the silent protagonist as this, narrative void, but as a sort of mirror for the player's curiosity. And Luna, she elevates everything. Her presence grounds the story in emotional stakes from the start. She's not just this girl, she's the heart of the first half of the game, honestly. And when she sings, whether it's in town or elsewhere, it's not just a performance, it's a character moment delivered through amazing songs that you hear throughout the game. Speaking to that, Luna's songs were hyped up in breakdowns of this game for a long time, and I assumed it would be one of those really cool moments, and it very much was. Not because the animation was cutting edge or the vocals were flawless, but because it just hit really well at the perfect times. In fact, Lunar is a game that nails timing altogether. Story beats, pacing, combat sequences, these are all perfectly timed, and it really makes for a timeless and polished experience overall. Combat-wise, I expected something basic, and while the core system is simple, the positioning mechanics and a surprising element to things. Characters move around the battlefield, meaning range and placement actually matter somewhat. It's not grid-based like a tactics game, but it adds a layer of thought to even regular encounters. All in all, when the game starts, or when you're grinding, not all of this is super important, as you can put on the auto battle and crank up the speed for some amazingly time-effective grinding. I mean, this is incredibly convenient. I personally love the way Suikoden handled this, and it's almost even more convenient here. I also have to talk about the dungeons. They're clean, well-paced, and often have little quirks that keep things interesting. Traps, visual puzzles, and layouts that encourage exploration without padding time. I hate tedious backtracking in my games, and this one doesn't have much of that, so it's very much appreciated. The party of characters here is stellar. This is where the game surprised me again. These weren't just functional characters to fill archetypes, they're people with relationships and conflicts that feel alive. I love and appreciate how they all interact with each other and the attention to detail that made these characters so likable. Playing Lunar now, removed from its original context, turned out to be a lot better than I had anticipated. What sticks with me isn't the structure, it's the sincerity. It's a game that believes in its story, in its characters, and the power of music and how they incorporate it with the gameplay. It's not ironic, it's not trying to subvert expectations, and somehow that makes it feel more honest than many modern games I've played today. Coming off the first Lunar game, I expected more of the same. A sweet, emotionally grounded fantasy story. What I didn't expect with the sequel was how much Eternal Blue would expand on that foundation. This isn't just a great sequel, it's a phenomenal game in its own right. It's more mature, not edgy, not dark for the sake of it, but heavier, more philosophical, I might say. It's asking deeper questions. I'm still making my way through the second game, and I can honestly say it's a big upgrade in a lot of ways, and I'm continuing to enjoy my time with these games for sure. I haven't finished the story here yet, but I do want to touch on just a few things. Let's talk gameplay, because Eternal Blue doesn't just expand the narrative, it deepens the mechanics. The turn-based system remains, but everything feels more polished. Movement, positioning still matter, but there's more variety in enemy behavior, more nuance in magic usage. The introduction of the crest system is a highlight, letting you equip magical crests in different combinations to unlock new spells and abilities. It's not endlessly deep, but it's just customizable enough. What I appreciated the most was the dungeon designs. There's more thought behind each area, visual variety, simple puzzles, elevation changes, hidden side paths, for example. There were a couple of dungeons I really enjoyed, not because they were hard, but because they forced me to slow down. You know, their layouts weren't linear, and I found myself actually mapping it out in my head, remembering where certain treasure paths branched off. Some of these dungeons, made me realize how much modern JRPGs tend to hold your hand, and I really enjoy being rewarded for paying closer attention. And the towns, man, the towns. I've always loved the old school JRPG rhythm of, story beat, combat, dungeon, town. But in Eternal Blue, the towns feel like more than just pit stops. NPCs change dialogue after every major event. Shopkeepers comment on the state of the world. There are little conversations between your party members that reveal, these offhand character moments, almost hidden in ways. It's a world that feels like it's reacting to your journey even when the core structure remains super familiar. I'm very much enjoying both of these games, and I can't express how much of a shocker it was to me that I waited this long to play them. It's easy to look at a game like Lunar, a pair of early 90s JRPGs remastered and polished for modern players, and assume that what makes it special is tied to nostalgia, that the love people have for these games is about when they played them, not what they are. And before I played them myself, I kind of believed that too. But here's the thing. I had no nostalgia, no emotional safety net, no memories of staying up late into the night playing these games. I came into Lunar with fresh eyes, and even with all that distance, these games got to me. So what makes them hold up? It's not the graphics, though the remaster does a great job modernizing these sprites and polishing the anime cutscenes. This isn't about visual fidelity, and it's not about the battle systems either. As fun as all these things are, they're not reinventing the wheel. What makes Lunar timeless is its tone, its sincerity, its sense of emotional timing. There's a rhythm to these games that's hard to put into words. It's not about rushing from plot point to plot point, it's about the moments in between. The towns where you linger a little longer than you need to just to hear what villagers are saying, the party banter that surfaces mid-dungeon, the scenes where characters just exist together, laughing, arguing, grieving, whatever they're doing. Lunar also understands how to scale its storytelling. It can be grand, sure, goddesses, ancient magic, ruined temples, but it always pulls things back to the characters. These aren't just archetypes moving through a plot, they're relationships you feel invested in. There's also something to be said about the writing itself, even with the infamous localization quirks, and yes, some of the jokes are very dated, and yes, working designs had a tendency to go a little overboard. There's a surprising amount of grace in the dialogue. The emotional beats are written with restraint, and because the games give you space to sit with these beats, they land harder than they would have in more faster-paced, flashier games. Lunar isn't necessarily the perfect series. It's not the most mechanically deep or the most groundbreaking, but it's special. It tells stories with heart, and it trusts the player to care. Lunar stands out not as a throwback, but as a reminder that great storytelling doesn't need to be complex or overly deep. It just needs to be honest. If you've never played Lunar before, this remastered collection is the perfect place to start. If you have played it, maybe it's time to revisit it with fresh eyes. Either way, it's definitely worth your time, because stories like this one age really well, and I can honestly say that this is some of the most fun I've had playing a classic JRPG in recent memory. Anyway, that's it for me in this one. If you've been playing the Remastered Collection, let me know in the comments below what you think. Be sure to subscribe for more content like this, and leave a like if you enjoyed the video. And until next time, I'm out.